Imagine a world where secrets aren't locked behind steel doors or encrypted files, but rather hidden just beyond the veil of perception. A world where the human mind itself becomes the ultimate intelligence gathering tool. For over 2 decades, during the height of the Cold War, the US government invested millions of dollars in a top secret program known as Project Stargate. Its mission? To explore the very fringes of human potential, psychic abilities, specifically the phenomenon known as remote viewing. From the 1970s to the mid-1990s, scientists, military personnel, and self-proclaimed psychics worked together in a clandestine facility, attempting to peer into distant locations, predict enemy movements, and uncover all with the power of their minds. Was this a genuine attempt to harness extraordinary human capabilities for national security, or a costly and ultimately fruitless pursuit of the paranormal? This is the story of Project Stargate, a fascinating intersection of science, espionage, and the enduring mystery of the human mind. We'll explore the claims, the controversies, and the ultimate fate of Project Stargate. To understand Project Stargate, we need to rewind to the Cold War, a period of intense geopolitical rivalry between the United States and the Soviet Union. This wasn't just a battle of ideologies, it was a relentless intelligence war fought in the shadows. Both sides were constantly seeking any advantages, any edge that could tip the balance of power. In this climate of paranoia and suspicion, the idea of exploiting the unknown, the paranormal, began to gain traction within certain circles of the US government. The Soviets were rumored to be conducting their own research into psychic phenomena, and the US didn't want to be left behind in what some called the psychic arms race. This wasn't entirely new territory. Some researchers believed that these abilities could be harnessed for military and intelligence purposes. By the 1970s, this interest had coalesced into more formalized research programs within the U.S. intelligence community. Projects like ScanNet, short for Scanning by Coordinate, and Guerrilla Flame were early attempts to investigate the potential of psychic abilities, particularly what would later be known as remote viewing, laid the groundwork for more ambitious projects that would eventually become Stargate. Key figures emerged during this period, individuals who would play crucial roles in the development of remote viewing protocols and the execution of these programs. 2 names stand out: Harold Puthoff and Russell Targ. Both physicists, they conducted pioneering research at the Stanford Research Institute, or SRI, a renowned research and development center in California. Their work at SRI would become the epicenter of remote viewing research for years to come. It was at SRI that the first rigorously controlled experiments into remote viewing were conducted. Experiments that would capture the attention of the US intelligence community and ultimately lead to the birth of Project Stargate. Now that we've set the stage, let's delve into the heart of Project Stargate, the experiments in remote viewing. This was the core of the project, the means by which the CIA and the military hoped to harness psychic abilities for intelligence gathering. At the center of these experiments was the Stanford Research Institute, SRI, a renowned research and development hub in California. It was here, under the leadership of Harold and Russell, that the first rigorous tests of remote viewing took place. So, what exactly is remote viewing? It's the purported ability to perceive distant or unseen locations without the use of traditional sensory channels. Think of it as kind of a mental teleportation, where the mind can project itself to a remote location and gather information about it. Hutus and Targ's experiments involved a series of controlled sessions in which participants known as viewers were asked to describe distant locations or objects that were unknown to them. The viewers were then compared to a control group who did not have any psychic abilities. One of the most prominent viewers involved in the SRI experiments was Ingo Swann. Swann possessed a remarkable ability to describe remote locations with startling accuracy, often providing details that were later confirmed to be correct. His case became a cornerstone of the remote viewing program. Over the years, the SRI researchers amassed a significant amount of data, documenting hundreds of successful remote viewing sessions. These results were often impressive, with viewers providing detailed descriptions of locations, objects, and even events that they could not have known about through conventional means. Some of the most notable examples of successful remote viewing include locating a downed Soviet aircraft. In one instance, a remote viewer accurately described the location and condition of a downed Soviet aircraft, providing crucial information that helped in the recovery effort. In another case, a viewer provided a detailed description of a hidden Soviet military base, information that was later confirmed to be accurate by intelligence sources. These and other successful examples fueled the belief that remote viewing was a real phenomenon, a powerful tool that could be harnessed for intelligence purposes. The successful experiments at SRI caught the attention of the U.S. intelligence community, and in 1978, the program was transferred from the Stanford Research Institute to the Defense Intelligence Agency, or the DIA. This marked a significant escalation in the project as it moved from academic research to operational use. Under the DIA's umbrella, Project Stargate expanded and evolved, with a greater emphasis on practical applications of remote viewing. The program recruited additional viewers, refined the protocols, and began to integrate remote viewing into real-world intelligence operations. One notable example was the case of Major General Albert, a former commander of the U.S. Army Intelligence and Security Command. A firm believer in psychic phenomena, Albert played a crucial role in advocating for Project Stargate and integrating remote viewing into military intelligence operations. Remote viewing was employed in a variety of situations, including locating missing personnel. Viewers were used to attempt to locate hostages, missing soldiers, and downed aircraft. Tracking enemy movements, remote viewers were tasked with gathering information about the movements and activities of Soviet military forces. Gathering intelligence on foreign installations, viewers were also used to gather information about foreign military bases, nuclear facilities, and other sensitive sites. There were instances where remote viewing provided valuable information that could not have been obtained through traditional intelligence channels. However, not everyone was convinced of the efficiency of remote viewing. Critics within the intelligence community raised concerns about the lack of scientific rigor in the experiments, the difficulty of replicating results, and the subjective nature of the information obtained through remote viewing. Despite these criticisms, Project Stargate continued to operate until 1995, when a report by the American Institute for Research, AIR, concluded that remote viewing had not produced actionable intelligence and recommended the program's termination. The official end of Project Stargate faced significant criticism throughout its existence. The scientific community, in particular, remained skeptical of the claims surrounding remote viewing. One of the main points of contention was the lack of replicable results. While some experiments yielded seemingly impressive results, others failed to produce any evidence of psychic abilities. This inconsistency made it difficult to establish remote viewing as a scientifically valid phenomenon. Methodological flaws in some studies were also a concern. Critics pointed to issues such as inadequate blinding protocols, unintentional cueing of participants, and the subjective interpretation of results. These factors raised questions about the validity of the data and the conclusions drawn from it. The inherent subjectivity of remote viewing was another major challenge. The information obtained through remote viewing was often vague, symbolic, or open to interpretation. This made it difficult to verify its accuracy and usefulness in real-world intelligence operations. In 1995, the American Institute for Research, or the AIR, conducted a comprehensive review of Project Stargate. The report concluded that remote viewing had not produced actionable intelligence and that there was no clear evidence of its practical value. The AIR report recommended ending the program. Based on the AIR's report findings, the U.S. government officially shut down Project Stargate in 1995. The program's files were declassified, making its history and findings available to the public. The end of Stargate marked the conclusion of a unique and controversial experiment in the history of intelligence. While the program generated a great deal of public interest and debate, it ultimately failed to provide conclusive evidence of the existence or practical utility of remote viewing. The legacy of Project Stargate continues to be debated. Some maintain that the program uncovered genuine evidence of psychic abilities, while others argue that it was a costly and ultimately fruitless pursuit of the paranormal. So, what are we to make of Project Stargate? Was it a genuine attempt to harness extraordinary human potential for national security, or a misguided foray into the realm of the paranormal? The declassified files reveal a complex and fascinating story, one that raises more questions than it does answers. While the official conclusion was that remote viewing did not produce actionable intelligence, the anecdotes and testimonials from those involved continue to fuel debates. Some remain convinced that the psychic abilities played a role in intelligence gathering, while others dismiss the entire project as a pseudoscience. Regardless of one's personal beliefs, Project Stargate stands as a unique chapter in the history of intelligence. It's a testament to the human desire to explore the unknown, to push the boundaries of what's possible, even if that means venturing into the fringes of science and the paranormal. We've only scratched the surface of this complex topic today. If you're interested in learning more, we encourage you to explore the declassified documents available online, delve into the research conducted at SRI, and form your own conclusions about the mysteries of Project Stargate. Thank you for joining us on this exploration of Project Stargate, and this is the Rabbit Hole Chronicles.